Laura never imagined her life would turn out this way. For years, she believed she and Daniel had the perfect marriage. Two professionals, in their late 30s, living in a quiet neighborhood outside Seattle. They had a nice home, good jobs, and memories that looked perfect from the outside. But inside, something had slowly faded. The laughter had become rare, the conversations short, and the silence heavier each day. One night, as rain touched the windows, Daniel finally spoke the truth. Neither of them wanted to admit. He told her their marriage was over. His tone wasn't angry. It was calm, almost kind. He said he wanted her to find happiness again. Even if it wasn't with him, Laura sat there, numb, unsure what to say. She didn't cry, though her heart felt like breaking. She asked him what he meant, and that's when he said something she would never forget. He told her about Aaron, a friend from his company, someone who had gone through a painful divorce and understood loss. Daniel thought meeting him might help her heal. At first, Laura thought it was a strange and cruel suggestion, but Daniel wasn't joking. He said Aaron was someone good, someone she could talk to, maybe even trust. A week later, she agreed to meet him, more out of curiosity than hope. They met at a small cafe near the harbor. Aaron was quiet, gentle, and had a kind face that seemed to carry its own story. He smiled when he saw her, not in a flirty way, but like someone who understood sadness. They talked about simple things, work, the city, how difficult it was to start over. Laura didn't realize how much she needed that kind of conversation until that day. Over the next few weeks, they met again. Sometimes for coffee, sometimes just a walk by the water. She told herself they were just friends, but the truth was, she started looking forward to seeing him. There was something peaceful about Aaron. He listened without judgment, never tried to fix her pain, and never made her feel small for being lost. When she laughed at one of his jokes, for the first time in months, she realized she hadn't laughed like that since before her marriage started falling apart. Daniel had moved out by then, leaving a short note on the kitchen table. "Be happy, Laura. Please." She kept reading that note again and again, wondering if he had known exactly what would happen. She missed him, but she also knew what they had was gone. Love couldn't survive where there was no longer connection. One evening, Laura and Aaron walked through a park near the lake. The air was cool, and the sky had that deep orange glow before sunset. Aaron told her about his past, how his marriage ended, and how he had stopped believing in second chances. Laura listened quietly, her heart softening with every word. When he looked at her, there was something in his eyes, something she hadn't seen in a long time, care. As the days passed, Laura began to realize her feelings were changing. She caught herself thinking about him at night, wondering what he was doing, wanting to hear his voice. It scared her. She tried to push it away, reminding herself this wasn't supposed to happen. He was someone her husband had introduced her to. It felt wrong, but at the same time, it felt more real than anything she had felt in years. One afternoon, it started raining heavily while they were leaving the cafe. Aaron opened an umbrella, and they walked close together under it. The sound of the rain filled the silence between them. Then he looked at her and said softly, "I know this might be too soon, but I think I'm falling for you." Laura froze. Her heart raced, and for a moment, everything else disappeared. She wanted to say something, but no words came. She felt guilt, confusion, and longing all at once. She finally whispered, "This wasn't supposed to happen." He smiled gently and said, "Maybe it was." That night, Laura couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about him, the way he listened, the way he made her feel alive again. She didn't know what to do with those feelings. It wasn't the kind of love that came with grand gestures or passion. It was quiet, honest, and healing. Weeks turned into months. Their bond grew naturally, without pressure or promises. Laura started painting again, something she had given up years ago. She began smiling more, talking more, and feeling like herself again. Aaron became a part of her days. Steady, patient, and kind. He never pushed her to move faster than she was ready for. He just stayed, and that meant more than anything. One evening, Daniel called her. He said he was doing better and wanted to meet for coffee. They met at the same cafe where she had met Aaron months earlier. It was strange, but not painful. Daniel looked at her and noticed how calm she seemed. "You look different," he said. "Happier." "I guess I am," she admitted. He nodded slowly, and there was no bitterness in his expression, only peace. "Then I did something right," he said quietly. Laura smiled. For the first time, she realized that Daniel's decision to let her go wasn't an act of cruelty. It was an act of love. Sometimes, people love you enough to set you free. After that meeting, Laura went to see Aaron. She told him about the conversation, about how strange it felt to have closure. He listened, holding her hand gently. She looked at him and saw the same kindness she had felt from the very beginning. And at that moment, she knew she wasn't just healing. She was falling deeply, truly in love. It wasn't the story she ever expected to live. It wasn't dramatic or perfect. It was simply human, filled with mistakes, forgiveness, and rediscovered hope. As months went by, Laura's life took a quieter shape. She and Aaron often sat by the water, watching the boats move slowly across the lake. She would think back sometimes to the woman she used to be, to the marriage that ended, and to the man who unexpectedly became her new beginning. She didn't know what the future held, but she had learned something important. Sometimes love doesn't end, it just changes form. Sometimes it arrives through unexpected doors, carried by people you were never meant to meet, yet needed to. That thought stayed with her, long after the rain stopped and the city lights reflected softly over the water.